Welcome. Today, we're diving into why understanding the process behind scientific facts is so important. In many classrooms, science is presented as a finished product, polished diagrams, confident explanations, and neat conclusions. But what students often don't see is the journey, the testing, debate, and revision that shape those facts. When the process stays hidden, science can feel like a list of things to memorize, rather than a way of thinking. This approach leaves students unprepared to judge new information on their own, because they haven't learned how evidence earns credibility. By making the process visible, we help students move from memorization to reasoning and from passive acceptance to active understanding. Let's explore how peer review changes this picture. Peer review is the system that keeps science accountable. Before research is published, other experts carefully examine the study's methods, data, and conclusions. They look for errors, weak reasoning, or unsupported claims. This process doesn't make research perfect, but it does build in a layer of accountability and transparency. Peer review shows that science isn't just about personal opinion or authority, it's about structured evaluation. When students learn about peer review, they see that trust in science comes from the process, not just the credentials of the people involved. This shift is crucial, especially in a world where misinformation can look convincing. Let's see how this process helps us judge credibility. Often, students are told to trust science because scientists are experts, but real trust comes from the process. Claims are credible because they've been questioned, reviewed, and tested by others. Teaching peer review shifts trust away from authority and toward transparency. This is especially important online, where a peer-reviewed study and an unverified claim can look equally convincing. Without understanding peer review, students might judge credibility by appearance rather than evidence. Learning how research is vetted gives students the tools to tell which claims have been tested and which have not. This is a vital skill for navigating today's information landscape. Learning about peer review doesn't mean accepting everything in science without question. Instead, it teaches healthy skepticism. Students discover that even peer-reviewed studies can be challenged or revised, and that science is a process of correction, not certainty. This understanding helps students avoid both blind trust and total distrust. They learn to balance confidence in well-tested claims with openness to new evidence and debate. As a result, students develop a mindset that values questioning and ongoing evaluation, skills that are essential for lifelong learning and responsible citizenship. Once students understand peer review, they start reading scientific information differently. Instead of just focusing on what a study claims, they pay attention to how the research was done, looking at sample size, methods, and limitations. This shift moves evaluation from an emotional reaction to analytical thinking. Students become more skilled at matching data to conclusions and spotting the strengths and weaknesses in research. These habits make their judgment stronger and more reliable, both in science class and in everyday life. Peer review also helps explain why scientific consensus matters. One study alone doesn't establish truth. Consensus develops over time, as many studies are reviewed, replicated, and debated. Teaching this process helps students understand why consensus carries weight and why isolated claims should be treated with caution. Early exposure to peer review prepares students for real-world issues, from health to climate to technology. It builds confidence in navigating complex information and reduces reliance on headlines or social media summaries. Understanding peer review isn't just for future scientists. Any field that relies on evidence, like law, medicine, policy, or journalism, depends on evaluating and scrutinizing claims. Learning about peer review builds critical thinking and ethical responsibility that transfer far beyond the science classroom. These skills help students become thoughtful, informed citizens, ready to tackle challenges in any career or area of life. Sum up, teaching students how peer review works explains what makes evidence trustworthy. Science is defined by its process, not by certainty. Peer review shows how claims earn credibility through testing and challenge. By learning this system, students are empowered to think independently and make informed judgments in a world full of scientific-sounding claims. This foundation supports lifelong learning and responsible decision-making. Thanks for joining today's breakdown. See you next time.